Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone, and you're watching the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. 1 hour of commercial-free podcasting starts now. Enjoy the show.
All right, welcome back to the Super Fantasy Bros podcast, brought to you in conjunction, as always, with the Old City Sports Network. 10 days until football is back.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Just 10 days. Unreal. Can't believe we made it to this point. I feel like I say that every year, but it's always a great feeling when football's back. Unfortunately, T-Gods could not make it today for the wide receiver and tight end ranks. We will obviously try to chime in a little bit as to what his thoughts would be. Unfortunately, lost a dog this week, so condolences to my mans. If you want to send some love to him his way on Instagram, definitely go do that. But we are in the heart of draft season, so we're wrapping up our preseason draft prep content today, breaking down both tight ends and wide receivers. As always, if you're here live, have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We will get to all of them when we get a chance. But tight ends and wide receivers, going to take a little bit of time here, so let's jump right into the tight ends. And as I always like to start off with our strategies for drafting each position. So for tight ends, it's become even more of a premium the last few seasons for grabbing the top end guys, just because they've been kind of stretching that gap between being either elite or just one of the random throw a dart tight ends. Are you grabbing one of those guys? Do you feel like you must do that this year, or are you waiting till later?
Just based off of the draft that we're all in on the one podcast team, I'm not a fan of taking the tight end early, especially in the first round, mainly because I don't have any familiarity with it. So I don't know what to do when round 2 comes around, but I guess it's worth it. But all my life, I've just lived on the waiver wire for tight ends, and maybe that's why I haven't won a chip yet, and that's what I need to do. But I can't pay that price.
I think I'm aiming for one of those elite guys this year. I feel like 95% of championship teams have one of those top tight ends on the roster. And I think with tight end being a position in your league, you have to get one of those top guys to be a competitor.
Yeah, I think I've done a handful of drafts this year. In a lot of drafts, I've ended up with Hawkinson. I think in a couple of our leagues that we share a team, we have Hawkinson. And then we did do Kelsey in one league. I don't think I have many leagues where I've waited too long. We do have the one super flex league where we ended up with Dalton Schultz. Still not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
I think we've, as a podcast, have been leaning more towards just grabbing one early, but I really think it also depends on obviously draft slot, what's available, what kind of fits your team. If you're in one of those middle, 4 through 8, maybe even pick 9, in a 12-team league, obviously if Kelsey's sitting there and you want to consider that at that point, go for it. I just saw him go at 2 in one of my leagues. So
wow.
Second overall, I was third pick.
That's absurd.
Jefferson and then Kelsey, and I was
I licked my lips.
I guess I'm taking Jamar Chase easy here. So tight end definitely has been, people are reaching more and more, so definitely keep an eye on that.
They'll probably prove me wrong
top doc tag
by saying this, but I feel like there's 13 tight ends, at least by my rankings, that I would be comfortable with compared to other years where obviously it's the 5 and then the rest are all dart throws, up to 13 where I'd have Dalton Kincaid. So even Chig and then Dalton Schultz, those outside the top 10, I'd be fine with those. And so those outside last year, I don't know who would be outside the top 10, but they all stunk. Yeah,
I think there's some upside to be had at tight end down there, but for me personally, I view after the top 5 for me this year as just there's still a bunch of risk baked into each one of those guys. You could talk down about any single one of those players and be this is why they're going to be mid again. I have Kyle Pitts below that mark, and I'm still not confident drafting him. So I think Goddard is my cutoff this year for if I don't get one of those top 5, I'm fine waiting to be one of the last people to take one. I don't need to reach at that point.
Right.
I agree.
It's all just kind of a melting pot there. Let's get into the rankings. I don't think we need to discuss the top spot this season. Chiefs have no major weapons outside of Kelsey. Do we all have Kelsey at 1?
Fortunately.
Indeed.
Q regretfully does, but
smart.
It won't be the same next year.
Yeah.
Always preying on the downfall. You were right when you said the 1 year.
Clock's right twice a day. Or clock.
More interesting discussion becomes for that number 2 spot for tight end. Seems to be between Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson. I think Andrews is going a little bit sooner than TJ Hawkinson is. Who do you have ranked higher, and who do you think will have more value based on their ADP?
Based on ADP, definitely Hawkinson.
Yeah, I have Hawkinson ranked at 2 myself. I think after that trade from Detroit last year, he just kind of meshed right in with that Minnesota offense. And Mark Andrews kind of had a down year. I know Lamar wasn't healthy all year, but that kind of seeing TJ Hawkinson be productive in the Vikings offense and Mark Andrews struggle a little bit kind of gave TJ Hawkinson the upside for me coming into this year.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. I have Mark Andrews is going 28th overall as the number 2 tight end, and then Hawkinson's going 46th overall as the number 3 tight end. Like I've been eating Hawkinson up at that ADP, or even sooner. Like have not been afraid to grab him like 5 spots ahead because I'm right there with you, Matt. I actually have Hawkinson at 2 as well.
Hawkinson also has the better quarterback.
That's a
stretch. Yeah, I'm just like consistency was there towards the end of the season for Hawkinson. With Kirk last year, Mark Andrews was a little bit up and down, so I am still a little bit weary about that. And they added some weapons. Just feel a little bit more comfortable with Hawk this year on a consistency basis. But yeah, both obviously we have at 2 and 3. Let's go through a few of our biggest differences at the tight end spot. Obviously, not as many positions as when we went through running back and wide receiver, so only a few guys to talk about. Starting with Darren Waller, currently going as tight end 551 overall, just 5 picks after TJ Hawkinson. Q, you have him all the way up at 4. T-God's and Matt. T-God's obviously not with us, but he has him with Matt at 6, right in the middle there, and I'm all the way down at 9 for Waller. I will start, I guess. I just don't love Waller this year. I didn't love him last year coming off of the injury, and still had an up and down season. I think I had him at 9 last year as well when he was going around 5. Obviously, I don't want to prey on his downfall. Like, I just think tight end getting over the age of 30, and I don't think he's on that like elite level that Kelsey is on. So I'm not in love with Darren Waller. New team, he has to learn a new offense. I do think it's going to take some time to kind of get integrated. So Waller, I think he has the potential to push towards top 5 again for sure. Like, obviously, we've seen him do it. He has the talent, but I think there's still a little bit of risk baked into that. So I'm not in love with him this year. I guess, Q, you can say why you do love Waller this year.
Yeah, he has risk because he's only played 2 full seasons. But those 2 full seasons he played, he was tight end 2 and tight end 3. So obviously, if he plays the entire season, he will. I believe he's guaranteed to be in that top 3. Don't make me put him number 1.
Spicy.
The Giants, obviously, they haven't gotten any new weapons. Paris Campbell, like a weapon that could take anything away from Darren Waller. So we see it in the preseason. We hear it in training camp. I think Darren Waller is bound to break out back to old Darren Waller, back to 2020, 20, and 2019 Darren Waller for sure.
He's going to get a second wind.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he could. Don't sleep on Jalen Hyatt, 3rd round wide receiver for the Giants. No, I'm just kidding. I would sleep on him as well. Yeah, I do think Waller could end up being a target monster for Daniel Jones. I just hope he's able to stay healthy and stay on the field. Just a little bit more risk for me. Someone that I like more than Waller this year, maybe not everybody here, Dallas Goedert, currently going ADP tight end 7 overall, and you can actually get him at 59. So I guess 8 picks after Waller, kind of in that same range. T-Gods actually would have been defending this the most. He has him all the way up at 4. Dang. Me and Matt both have him at 5. Q, you have him at ADP at 7. Matt, you want to say why we're in on Goddard?
Yeah, I mean, he was a top 5 tight end last year before he got hurt. The Eagles offense didn't really add any pieces that are going to hurt him, or I think his target share. I think if he stays healthy last year, he's easily a top 5 tight end. This offense is going to throw the ball as much as we do love running it. Hurts is one of the more efficient passers, and any pass catcher on this offense is going to do well. So I want all shares of this offense. No bias intended.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, this man is due for some like positive touchdown regression. Like he's got to get some more targets in the red zone. He had 3 last year, obviously only played 12 games. He had 4 the year before, 3 the year before that, had missed some games there too. 5 in 2019 and 4 in 2018. Like even when Ertz was there, he was scoring about the same amount of touchdowns. Like he's our sole tight end. I think they're going to try and make it a point to get him the ball more in the red zone this year. He's got to be a bigger part of the offense. And we saw it last year, like you said, he was on pace to be a top 5 tight end. Obviously the injury kind of derailed that a little bit. So I'm in on Goddard this year for sure.
I will say if Goddard was playing with Wentz when it was Ertz, Goddard would insane because he can break a tackle. He would have been Ertz times a million, but unfortunately it's to deal with all these other weapons, or fortunately. So that's why it's just being third option, maybe the fourth option, because I think it's AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, run the ball, and then Goddard. So
yeah, I mean Goddard was just so solid last year when he was healthy. He had at least 9 points in every single game except for 2 that he played. And then some of those were obviously higher as well, like up to 24, 17, 13 here and there. Like
just stop fumbling.
Yeah. Goddard, top 5. Lock it in.
Mm-hmm.
Last one here where we got a big difference. Dalton Schultz. He's currently going tight end 11. Q right on ADP. Again, has him ranked at 11. T-God's a little bit above at 9. Matt a little bit higher at 8. I'm all in on Dalton Schultz. I have him at 6. Right after Goddard. I know it's not the sexiest pick. I know there's a lot of risk involved, but like I said, after Goddard, it's kind of all risk. So I'm risking it on the fact that I really don't trust any other pass catcher on the Texans that has like a pretty good track record. Obviously, Robert Woods does, but I think he's a little bit past his prime at this point.
He's past father time.
Yeah, and outside of that, like I'm not really worried about guys like Nico Collins, John Mechie, whoever else they have on the offense. Yeah, Tank Dell. Like I think they all have their own like a little bit of upside here or there, but I think CJ Stroud's going to find his reliable target in Dalton Schultz. When you're looking for that first down on third down, CJ Stroud's going to be feeding Dalton Schultz. I think he's just going to get a decent target volume. He's arguably the most talented pass catcher on this offense right now. So
you're not worried about Brevin Jordan?
No, not anymore. He is.
I think he's hurt anyway.
He was one of my sleepers. And he's
That's disgusting.
Not him. He's not him. Dalton Schultz is him. So I'm in on Dalton Schultz. I guess you don't really have to defend why you don't like him. You just have him at.
Yeah, I like him. So, just not that much.
Yeah. All in on Schultz. All right. That's it for like major differences we had in our rankings. A lot of the other ones are relatively close. So let's do some early and late round targets at the tight end position. Q, start us off with your early tight end target.
Okay. So my early round obviously would be Darren Waller, but I can't speak on it too much. So I'm going with George Kittle. When Brock Purdy came in last season, it was kind of up and down, but the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, he was on a rampage with touchdowns at least. So I think that continues this season. Deebo Samuel I'm basically an afterthought when Brock Purdy's under center because they're not running the ball as much and they have Christian McCaffrey. So I think George Kittle will be key to this offense being successful. And he's a monster also when healthy.
Yeah, completely agree there. If Kittle is on the field, he's easily in that top 3 discussion at tight end. Matt, who was your early round tight end target?
I had to steal Q's guy. I'm going to go Darren Waller. Strictly based off volume, I don't really see too much talent in the pass catching group for the New York Giants. I think they brought in Darren Waller to play a big part in their offense. And just like Dalton Schultz for CJ Stroud is going to be the safety blanket, I think that's going to be what Darren Waller is for Daniel Jones. And the Giants don't have the greatest team or the greatest defense, so I think they're going to try to rely on Saquon as much as they can, but eventually they are going to have to throw. And I think Waller is going to be the number 1 target. So strictly based off volume, I think he's going to put up numbers week in and week out.
The modern day Jeremy Shockey.
Something like that.
Yeah, kind of like that, I guess. Whatever. Yeah, Waller's not a bad early round target. Just not as big on him. My early round target, pretty obvious one, TJ Hawkinson. I already touched on him a little bit as to like that we've got him in a lot of drafts. I think he has just as much value as Mark Andrews, and he's going 18 picks later. He showed last year that he can be in that top tight end discussion. He did finish number 2. And when he did get traded to Washington, he was get traded to Minnesota. I don't know why I said Washington. I think because when he got traded there, his first game was versus Washington. I was just looking at that. When he got traded there, he started putting up consistent numbers with Kirk Cousins. And I think even more so this year without Thielen, he's going to be relied upon as that second option in this offense. So as long as Hawkinson is healthy this year, I do think he's going to be a great early round target at tight end. Q, back to you for your late round tight end target.
Late round tight end target, kind of talked about him already. Dalton Schultz. He is obviously the best receiving option on this team. He will be relied on often. We've seen him finish tight end 3. That's the year that I was hating on him because I said there's no way this guy is any good. But just like Darren Waller, he's in a scenario where he's probably the only one that should be getting the ball when the ball's in the air. So yeah, Dalton Schultz, and he's still in Texas, so he's drinking the same water, so he's still going to be as good.
Yeah, definitely could be pretty solid this year. Matt, late round target for you.
Also gonna go another one of Q's guys, David Njoku. I think aside from Amari Cooper, I do like Elijah Moore, but it's really those two and David Njoku, not really much else to throw to. We'll see how much they try and get Nick Chubb involved in the passing game. But Njoku's had his ups and downs. He still finished tight end 10 last year, missing 3 games and exiting one early, I believe. So, I mean, if he could just string together a full season, stay healthy, he will be a big part of this offense. And I can see him putting up numbers, maybe not like sexy tight end 1 numbers, but he'll get what you have to get done.
I'm calling for a sexy Njoku season. It's coming.
All right.
I like it.
Top 5?
Top 5. Number 5. Kelsey,
Spicy.
I see ya.
That's spicy. My late round tight end target is Hawkinson's replacement, Sam Laporta. Hawkinson was pretty decent through that first half of the season with Detroit last year. Obviously, he took it up a notch when he got to Minnesota. And rookies are a little bit risky, but at his ADP, he's pretty much going for free in drafts. I think he's going as tight end 19 overall, 166th. So you can get him for basically free if you're looking for a late round tight end that might have some upside to pair with somebody that you drafted later that you're not so confident in. Maybe like Pat Freiermuth, you're looking to add someone that like as a backup in case Freiermuth has a down year or whatever. I think the guy to look for is Sam Laporta. He's definitely someone that can take over in this offense in terms of like that tight end role that played such a huge part. We saw it really missing from this Lions offense in the second half of the season last year. They had no names running out there at tight end. Like it was ugly.
Rock, right?
Yeah. Like just guys you like shouldn't have ever heard of. Yeah. They literally could have used Dan Campbell. And I don't think their wide receiver room is that deep. Obviously, Amon-Ra is going to be the target monster. Jameson Williams is suspended for the first 6 games. And after that, it's Josh Reynolds and Marvin Jones and Khalif Raymond. Like it's not pretty. I do think Sam Laporta can kind of carve out that second, third option on this offense consistently. They obviously rely on the running backs a ton here, but if Laporta can get a little bit of that work, he has some upside this year for sure. And then one other guy I also like, Zach Ertz. Keep an eye on him.
Oh, God.
Keeping an eye on him.
Tight end 3 through 10 weeks last year. Obviously coming off major
why
injury.
is everyone so sleep on him?
They think Trey McBride's taking over some of the snaps and targets. Like,
Disrespect.
if Zach Ertz is healthy, they're going to roll him out there. Just throw the balls at him. Let's do bold takes. T-Gods, we're missing you. We're missing Millie too. We love you. Tight end bold takes. Let's start with you, Matt. Bold take.
All righty. Evan Ingram will finish outside the top 10 tight ends this year. If you look back at his game log last year, there were 6 games, I believe, where he had over 50 yards receiving. And if it wasn't for that one monstrous week, that 40-point week, I think he would have finished right around like tight end 10 through 12, somewhere in that mix of the mid tight ends. So that gave him a big boost. Calvin Ridley coming in this year looks good as ever. Definitely going to take away some of that target share. Well, a lot of that target share. Christian Kirk still looked great last year. So I just think there's a lot of weapons on this offense, ETN out of the backfield, that Evan Ingram, who really wasn't even getting a significant target share, it's only going to drop.
He really did stink outside of those 4 weeks.
He was pretty much a free agent in fantasy last year until those big weeks started rolling. And then he kind of got scooped up in a lot of leagues.
Yeah.
And then like worked his way into that top 5. But yeah, he was not super consistent. He had a few good weeks early on where he was like up and down, but
yeah.
He
was a
not
handful
consistent.
of good weeks, one great week.
Yeah. Definitely going to lose some target share with Ridley back. Zay Jones still there. They've got some options.
Yep.
Do not hate that one at all. Q, bold take.
We'll just keep it brief. Darren Waller finishes tight end 1. He is basically in the same scenario as Travis Kelce, but I just like Darren Waller more. I think that I'm not gonna go that far. I'm just gonna stop talking. I was gonna say some crazy stuff, but yeah, I think he's bound for that tight end 1 season. Kelce, we're tired of it. I'm tired of it.
You're just tired of it. It's just you.
It's done. I promise you, it will be done. And I'll be 2 for 7 on my takes with Travis Kelce
and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Darren Waller, number 1. Mine's not as bold. Cole Kmet, top 5. He was number.
That's bold.
That's pretty bold. Yo, don't sleep. He was number 7 last year.
Okay, that's not saying much. Ingram was 5.
Yeah, exactly. Tight end stinks. That's what I'm saying. And Cole Kmet can easily work his way into that top 5. Obviously, they added DJ Moore. He's going to take a significant portion of this target share. But with better options, I do think Justin Fields is going to try to move the ball a little bit more. And in the red zone, we saw it last year. He was looking for Cole Kmet. He had 7 touchdowns. And I think that's something that's going to continue after no touchdowns in 2021. So as this connection is getting stronger with Fields, he's going to become the red zone reliant target. And obviously DJ Moore is not a big red zone threat as a little wide receiver. Darnell Mooney's also being floated around there in like surprise trade talks. So Cole Kmet seems like he's going to be one of the more consistent pieces on this offense. Obviously, they're going to run the shit out of the ball on this offense. It's going to be Herbert and Foreman, and then Justin Fields is going to use those legs. Obviously, the passing stats weren't great, but I think they're going to improve. It's year 3 now for Fields. He has some room for improvement, and I think they're going to try to move the ball a little bit more downfield. So Cole Kmet, get him in top 5 this year.
First 4 weeks,
get him
0, 0, 6, 4.
Who for Kmet?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not great early on, but the relationship continued to strengthen throughout the season, and probably from like week 8 on, he was definitely top 5. So
all I gotta say is keep on topic real quick. Keep an eye out for Jimmy Graham. He caught a touchdown on Saturday, so whatever he was doing, wandering around in the street that one weekend, he's back on the team, and they're tight end 1, better than Juwan, that's for sure.
Jimmy Grandpa, get him out of here. That dude's a fossil.
I thought they would have released him. I don't know what he was doing in the street.
He'll probably catch like 4 touchdowns just like randomly, sporadically throughout the year for like a total of like 40 fantasy points.
Taysom Hill to Jimmy Graham for a touchdown. That's what it's going to be.
I would hate that.
It's going to be ugly.
The ultimate vulture.
Yeah. If you have any questions, anyone here about tight ends or the tight end position in general, feel free to drop them. But we are moving on to wide receiver rankings. Just want to do quick ad. Did not put it in here. So off the top, Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you use our promo code SUPERFB, SUPERFB. If you deposit $100 or less, I think it's $10 up to $100, it will get matched 100%. So if you deposit 10, they'll give you 10 back. You deposit 100, you'll get 100 back. A ton of contests going on right now. Football season starting up. It's way different than DraftKings or whatnot, where you're like picking based on salary. It's an actual draft that you're joining. Check it out. More than worth it. Promo code SUPERFB. Win some money. All right. Wide receiver rankings. Just did this for tight ends. So let's do the same thing for wide receivers. Wide receiver seems deep, but also shallow this year in a weird way. Like the early rounds, it feels like it's deep because you're just getting elite guy after elite guy. But once you get past like that, like 15, 16, 17 mark for wide receivers, it's kind of a dead zone from like 17 to 30, where like all guys could be about the same value. And then after that, it kind of gets scary after like 35, 40, where like it's like you're just throwing darts at that point. I don't feel like it's as deep in that area as it has been in the past. So elite wide receivers flying in round 1 feels more important than ever to get one early. What are your thoughts? Are you considering double wide receiver as a strategy this season? What are we doing here?
Triple wide receiver is my strategy.
Triple wide receiver.
Triple wide receiver.
I like it. I just did that in the draft, and I actually liked how my team turned out.
But where were you? Where were you?
I was third overall.
Yeah, I feel like you have to be very early or at the end. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never tried it at like 6, 7, 8, but
it's harder there.
That'll be the test.
Yeah, I feel like a 6, 7, 8 is a good spot to grab, like one of the higher end running backs, and then one of the lower end wide receiver ones, and just go from there. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've been leaning more towards wide receiver in drafts early this year. If good running backs fall to me later, if I'm like a pick 10 or 11 or 12, then I'm like tempted. I'm like, all right, might have to grab one here. But I think I'm in on the early wide receiver train. How about you, Matt?
No, I agree 100%. All depending on where I'm picking at. But you also got to pay attention too, because if wide receivers are flying off the board and you have the chance to get two of those elite running backs, I do think you have to take that opportunity.
I'm scared to do that, though. I'm scared because then I'm like, my wide receiver one ends up being like Amari Cooper.
DJ Moore.
What's wrong with that?
It's ugly. It's ugly.
Okay, say you have like Saquon and Chubb and
too.
then Amari Cooper. Well, take away Chubb because him and Cooper are on the same team. But
okay, so let's say Saquon and Bijan, and then you get Amari Cooper somehow on the third.
It's
not bad.
You can live with that.
You can live with it. You can definitely live with it. I'm just scared of the double RB strategy. It's bit me in the ass so many times in the past.
Me too. But
wide receivers are more reliable to stay healthy compared to the running back position. So that's what steers me away from that. And I feel like running backs low-key deeper this year too. Like when you get to like the 20s, there's still guys where you're like, oh, I'm not mad about getting Rashad White here or James Cook or Pacheco or whoever there. Whereas like I'm in the wide receiver realm there. I'm like, do I really like this guy? Do I really want Deontay Johnson on my team right now? I don't know.
I feel like the teams that are like sharing backfields with two guys, that's what makes the running back so much deeper because 50-50 splits. Can't really go wrong with either guy.
Yeah, definitely. I think wide receiver will continue to be the trend moving forward earlier in drafts. Just because they're safer and elite.
Let's not draft running backs anymore.
All right, that's receivers. Tight ends, I get that. Outside of that, you need the running backs and wide receivers.
No QBs.
Yeah. At the number one slot, I don't think we have much of a difference across the board. Do we all have J. Jeff at 1?
Mm-hmm.
It should be pretty clear cut.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not mad if you take Jamar or Kupp at 1 over him or whoever, like in that like top 4 or 5. But Jefferson's number 1 for me. He's just so solid last year. And only thing that really changed for him is more opportunity. He's going to get more targets because Thielen is now gone. So Jefferson should be just fine. He can beat double teams. I'm not worried about him whatsoever. After Jefferson, it also seems like we all have a very similar top 5. I think, Q, you are the only one who has Devontae Adams in your top 5 over Cooper Kupp. So what's up with the Cooper Kupp hate? Are you nervous about the injury this year?
I mean, that's a little bit. There's still Matt Stafford. Who knows how healthy he is? And Devontae Adams, I feel, is just in a better situation. Well, I guess I just like Devontae Adams more.
I respect it. I mean, obviously, he hasn't proved us wrong. I do have him a little bit lower than that. But outside of that, I think we all have the rest the same, which is just Jamar Chase, aside from Q with Cooper Kupp there. But me and Matt have Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, and Stephon Diggs.
Yep. In
some form or fashion, those are the elite of the elite, the cream of the crop. We're going to continue to draft them early and often in round 1. So let's go after the top guys here and move on to where we have some differences. Let's get into where we are thinking differently. Starting with Jalen Waddle, going currently at wide receiver 11, 24th overall. T-Gods, if you are still here with us in the chat, you can drop why you are loving Jalen Waddle, having him at 9. Matt, you're right there with him at 10. I have him right below ADP at 12, and Q despises him at 13. So Q, why do you hate Jalen Waddle?
I'd hate Tua, and he's just I'd actually move him down to 14. I'd take T over him, but I just feel like that's too high for a number 2. DK could maybe take him over I don't like DK. I'm not going to go that far, but I don't know. There's something about Waddle I'm just not a fan of. He did have some down weeks as well last year. So
Definitely did.
But Tua is probably my biggest fear. I could go the same with Tyreek and move him outside the top 5 if I really wanted to dig that deep. But
spicy.
Tua is just scary. Tua is the X factor of these guys being good.
Even with Tua and backups all year, he still finished wide receiver 8. Although Tyreek did miss some time, but
Waddle had some huge games too.
Well, that comes with the down weeks.
Yeah, I know exactly.
You got to take it for what it is.
Yeah, I like him. I have him at 12, obviously right below ADP. He's at the top of my like wide receiver 2, like the best of the wide receiver 2s. So I have him right above T and Devontae Smith. I think all 3 of those guys are kind of in that same tier of like they basically are wide receiver 1s, but they are the wide receiver 2 on their team. I do have the only other person that I have over him that maybe you don't, Matt, would be like Chris Olave. I'm big on Olave this year, so that's probably the only reason I would do that.
Yeah, I have Olave.
Like the amount of times he scored 5 or less last year is not someone I'd take inside the top 12, but I don't know.
I respect it. Matt, you're also higher on Waddle. I assume you just love him because of this offense and the target share.
Yeah, I mean, they just got Devin Achane, or however you say his last name, but the Dolphins really never run the ball consistently. Tua loves to air it out. We saw that last year. As long as he can stay healthy, I think Reek and Waddle are still going to have similar years to last year. And they're 2 of the more fun receivers to watch. So why not just let them run around and catch the ball? That's what the fans want to see, and I feel like that's what they're going to do. I don't know how much they trust this clusterfuck of a backfield.
Yeah, for sure. Question in the chat about tight ends. So backtrack real quick. Is Kelsey a stretch at 5 for half PPR?
Yes.
Not at all.
What?
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. Q's Kelsey hater.
No, I don't want to take him at 5, but it could be Evan Ingram. If you had the same skill set as Travis Kelsey, I still would say no. I just don't like the tight end that early. I don't value them as much.
The Evan Ingram part confused me for a second.
Well, it's just like if you change Travis Kelsey's name to someone that I liked, I still would feel the same way.
Yeah. I think obviously Kelsey's going higher than like any tight end has gone in the past. I think we saw maybe Gronk's ADP get this high at one point at his peak. But I think his value is just so far above. I just saw him go at 2.5 PPR draft. I said earlier, Kelsey, you can take him pretty much anywhere in that first round. Maybe aside from like top 3 for me. I feel like once you're at 4, you can start considering him there. I think the big 3 for me are Jamar, Jefferson, and then I'm also considering McCaffrey there. Yeah, it's like those are my
Eckler, Cup.
Yeah, like I think those are also you can consider, but I think you could consider Kelsey over Eckler or Cup. All right, let's move on to Keenan Allen, currently going wide receiver 19, 42nd overall. I have him all the way up at 15. Q, you have him at 17. T guys has him at 18, and Matt has him at 19. Matt, you don't really hate him. You have him at ADP, so fits pretty well.
I think it's a fair spot to take him. And I think with this offense, there's a lot to choose from for Justin Herbert, adding Quentin Johnson, Mike Williams, obviously still there. And for what it's worth, they still have Gerald Everett and their plethora of tight ends. So I think the ball is going to be spread around a good bit. I don't want to say Keenan's looking on the wrong side of 30, but it might be catching up with him. And you guys know how I feel about Mike Williams. So I just don't think he's going to be that elite wide receiver 1, but we'll definitely still have that mid to low end wide receiver 2 value for me.
Yeah. The only thing I really love about Keenan, definitely scared of like the re-injury risk and the age. I think that's kind of why I have baked in. Like if that wasn't a risk, I would still have him as a wide receiver 1 this year. Like if I could tell you, if you could tell me Keenan Allen was going to be fully healthy this season, I would still have him as a wide receiver 1. Keenan Allen from when he came back last year, if you look at his numbers, he was insane. Week 11 through 18, he was wide receiver 3.
Yeah. Crazy.
He averaged 18.8 points per game. He only had 9 points less than Jefferson and 2 points less than Devontae Adams. You have more than AJ Brown, more than Jamar Chase. Like obviously some of those guys made it out week 18. But like with Herbert and this offense, they just want to sling the ball. and Keenan Allen's still going to be his top target this year. He may have lost a step, obviously coming off of injury and whatnot, but like he was healthy at the end of last season. He didn't get hurt in the offseason, so he's still coming in at that same level. I'm still in on Keenan Allen. Solid wide receiver too. Moving on to DeAndre Hopkins. Q, you're going to have to defend this one alone because T. Gods was with you at 19. ADP, wide receiver 21. So you guys are really only a little bit above ADP. Me and Matt are strongly against DeAndre Hopkins this year. I have him at 27. Matt at 29. Matt, you can start us off why we don't love Hopkins.
Well, first and foremost, I absolutely hate this offense. It's really just Derrick Henry. That's it. Through the past couple of years, once they got rid of A.J. Brown, I feel like wide receivers just haven't had the opportunity to have success in Tennessee. We saw it with Robert Woods, and even sometimes with A.J. Brown, I just don't know how much I trust Ryan Tannehill or whoever's backing him up, because Lord knows how long it takes for a QB change. And D-Hop did look good last year, but he is getting a little older. There's just younger guys who I think are going to have a lot better opportunity and a lot better spot. And that's really it. I'm sorry, D-Hop. He may come back and make me regret it.
We haven't seen elite D-Hop since COVID 2020. It's now 2023. He's 31, starting towards the downtrend here. Yes, Tannehill is still their starting quarterback, which don't love that either for Hopkins. I'm on the same boat with you, Matt. He's still DeAndre Hopkins. He still has the talent, but this kind of feels like the graveyard for wide receivers in Tennessee. Yeah. We saw it with Julio Jones.
You can't put these people in the same category.
Yes, you can.
D-Hop was still in his prime last year. He was wide receiver 5 from the weeks that he's played, from 7 to 14.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same situation where, like, Julio in 2019, he was wide receiver 3. He played half the season in Atlanta, was wide receiver 51, and he looked good in that season. And then that next year, he goes to Tennessee. Everyone's like, oh, shit, Titans got another wide receiver with A.J. Brown, and then he was terrible. Like, the injury are catching up to him a little bit, I think. So I'm a little bit nervous. That's the only thing for me.
I just think what we saw last year, and Traylon Burks already being hurt, is helping D-Hop.
Yeah, he could get a good target share. I hope he's able to stay healthy. I want to see elite D-Hop. Elite D-Hop makes the NFL more fun. So I really hope he proves me wrong, but I'm avoiding the risk for D-Hop. Unless he falls to me at 27, then I'm scooping him up. Tyler Lockett next on the list. This is kind of out of order in terms of ADP, but whatever. He's currently going wide receiver 28, 69th overall. T-Gods was supposed to be here to defend his love for his favorite guy, but I guess, Q, you're going to have to step up again, even though you're only one spot above ADP. T-Gods has him at 20, even though he's going 28. Q has him at 27, right above. I'm right below at 30. Matt, you're a little bit further below at 32. I mean, I could fill in for T-Gods. I can explain his love for Lockett. You have to really just literally go to Tyler Lockett's stats, and you'll be like, yeah, right. Man, he's still Tyler Lockett. Like, how is that real? I think we've just been predicting his downfall for a while now, but since 2018, he was wide receiver 17, wide receiver 13, wide receiver 8, wide receiver 15. And last year, seemed pretty quiet. Didn't seem like he was doing much. He was still wide receiver 13. He might not be the most picture-perfect consistency at wide receiver, but even last year, he was actually like very consistent. So where we used to see like a 35-point banger from Lockett and then a bunch of 3s and 4s mixed in, he seems like he's got a pretty solid target share. The only thing that scares me this year, which was why I have him lower, it was JSN taking a big chunk of his target share in this offense. So that's what scares me away. I assume you guys are in the same boat.
Yeah. When we actually see Tyler Lockett on his downfall, it's going to be hard for Tyler to accept that.
Yeah. Like me and Jarvis Landry.
You're about 5 years late.
Man, I wish this was a Temple jersey. This is a Larry Fitz Cardinals jersey for the wide receiver episode. I need to get myself a Temple jersey. Temple alum. I've been meaning to get a Hassan Reddick Birds jersey. It's been on my list. I think Q has one.
Yeah. No, I have game worn Temple jersey. Oh yeah, I do have the sign. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's sick. All right, moving on to Christian Watson. Currently going wide receiver 23, 55 overall, so a little bit higher than Lockett. I am the highest, so I will defend my love for him. I have him at 20. Everyone else is below ADP. Q, you're just below at 24. Matt and T-Gods have him at 26. Why do you guys not love my guy, C-Watt?
Because I feel like you have veterans below him that you aren't as high on as I am. And I think that's the only difference.
I do like him, and Jordan Love looks like he could be a good quarterback from what we've seen in the preseason. So I don't know if I'm going to move him up anymore, but I do think there's some potential for C-Watt.
I just moved him down one spot because my bias for DJ Moore is stronger. So DJ Moore's up to 20, Watson 21. But in general, I just love Watson this year. I think I just have a little bit of faith in Jordan Love more than the general public. Obviously, he's not Aaron Rodgers, but we saw a lot of fun from Christian Watson with the deep threat and touchdowns piling up for a stretch last season. I don't think that's going to be the norm, but I do think he has that ability to continue to stretch the field. And I do think he's the best pass catching option on this offense by far. I mean, Romeo Doubs I like as well, but I think he's more of just kind of like the dink and dunk slot guy. He's not going to be stretching the field. If this offense wants to have any success, they're going to have to get the ball in Christian Watson's hands. I mean, the other wide receivers on this offense, it's like a name generator. Like, you don't know anybody else aside from those two. Samori Toure, Dontavion Wicks, Malik
Those are
Heath,
fake names.
Bo Melton, Deuce Watts, Grant DeBose. Like, there's not much going on here. They do have another rookie. I don't know why he wasn't listed here. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But
just make a name up. We'll believe you.
Yeah, exactly. Give me Christian Watson for sure this year. I do think he has solid wide receiver 2 upside for sure. If not like high-end wide receiver 2. All right. Good question in the chat. Do you guys prefer early draft positions or late positions, or does it not matter?
I want 1 or 12.
Whoa, interesting.
Usually I would prefer
the back-to-backs.
a later position, but this year I feel like I like my teams a lot more when I'm drafting like 1 through 4-ish.
100% agree. I am definitely in favor of like 1 through 5, maybe even 6 is pushing it a little bit. 1 through 5 for me this year is like where my bread and butter. I've been liking grabbing like one of those elite guys in the top 5. And then when it comes back around, there's still a lot of talent there. And then you also get one of those first choices in the 3rd round. I think that this year is huge in drafts. Whereas when you're later, you're kind of put into a pickle where like you're taking a little bit more risk here and there. You can definitely get some strong talent. Like if you're sitting at 12, like Q likes, grab 2 younger wide receivers that have a lot of upside, like Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and just stack up running backs later or whatever. You have to let every draft come to you. But I'm preferring the early positions.
I agree.
Q1 and 12 is a wild take.
That is wild.
You better be praying for your guy in the Royal Rumble.
I'm making him the highest overall.
Yo, that's scheming.
Make him the lowest.
We're checking all their overalls when we get there. If you guys haven't seen Royal Rumble for your draft order, it's electric. DJ Moore next on the list for differences. ADP wide receiver 20, 50th overall. Q and I both on the money at 20. Right at ADP, so I'm actually not higher than the public right now. I'm keeping my DJ Moore love in check this year.
Oh, stop.
Matt, you hate DJ Moore at 27, and T-Gods despises him.
Q should hate him with me.
I know, but
Q believes. He's a believer.
No, I'm not a believer.
Don't let him trick you.
But he's a believer in DJ Moore.
He will hate DJ Moore the same as he did at the end of last year. Because DJ Moore is the same every single year. Once you start to believe, he proves you wrong time in and time again.
No, I do not blame DJ Moore. His quarterbacks have been dog water.
And Justin Fields is no different.
Yeah, they really is no different.
Yes, he is. Justin Fields is good. He's him.
Stop.
I'm in on Justin Fields. I have to be in on DJ Moore.
Maybe don't.
DJ Moore, definition of consistency as well. If you're looking for a wide receiver 2 target, look no further. I mean, last 4 seasons, even with dog water quarterbacks, wide receiver 16, 23, 18, 24. Last year, obviously a down year, still squeaked his way into the wide receiver 2 conversation. On this new team, I think he's just going to eat targets alive here. Not much competition. Give me DJ Moore. Give me all the shares of DJ Moore I need. He said he had Garrett Wilson and I think who we were talking about before? DJ Moore? Watson? Somebody.
DJ Moore or Watson.
Pretty solid. Advice for a first spot pick. Number one overall, Justin Jefferson. Lock it in. For sure.
I feel like that's a bot.
Yeah, he had DJ Moore as well. Love me some DJ Moore this year.
The way bots ask.
Yeah, why would a bot ask that? Yeah, Matt hates DJ Moore. I should hate DJ Moore, but I love him, and I will continue my bias for him.
They call that Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but whatever. Matt, let's move on to someone you love more than ADP. Drake London, currently going wide receiver 27, 68th overall. Matt, you have him the highest at 20, where we have DJ Moore. T guys has him at 23. I have him at 24. Q has him at 25. So we all are higher than ADP. But Matt, why do you love him the most out of us?
Because I think aside from Bijan, he is the only true threat on this offense. I am done believing in Kyle Pitts. It's been 3 or 4 years now that he has just let us down every single year. And I think the Falcons aren't going to be able to run the ball the whole fucking game because their defense sucks and they're going to be down a lot. And when they're throwing it, they're going to Drake London. And I think based off volume, I mean, even last year he showed flashes. I think he could have high-end wide receiver 2 upside. And Kyle Pitts is a non-factor. You can't make me believe otherwise, seeing what we've seen the past few years. And I just think he, like you think for DJ Moore on the Bears offense, that will be Drake London for the Falcons offense.
Yeah, I do think Drake London has some talent. I'm a believer in the talent. The only thing that still scares me a little bit is obviously Desmond Ridder. His offense as a whole, a bit inconsistent.
Force it to him.
I think London will get some decent volume this year. And I do agree, Bijan does help take pressure off of Pitts, but I can't believe in Pitts until I see it again. That man.
I never saw it.
Yeah. Round 3, 4, and 5, who would you target? Really just depends on who's there.
Right.
Miles Sanders.
I do like Miles Sanders as RB2. Probably round 4 or 5. Round 4, big Hawkinson area there for me.
Big Hawk area. Amari Cooper.
Coop in the 3rd, 4th. Yes, sir. Michael Pittman Jr. currently going wide receiver 33, 80th overall. I have him at 25, highest of all of us. Matt, you're at 28. T-Gods is at 29, both ahead of ADP as well. Q, not loving Pittman as much this year at 34. Just below ADP, though, so why do you not like Pittman a little bit less than the public?
We'll just keep it brief because
Anthony
it's really not that fun to talk about. Down here last year, and he has, I guess you can call it a worse quarterback this year, so just not a big fan.
I respect it. I still think the volume is going to be there. He had 140 targets last year. I think he's probably going to be around that same area as well in terms of target share. There's literally nobody else to throw to. Q, you kind of like Alec Pierce, but like
I do not like him.
You did for a period of time.
It was just fun.
Like outside of Michael Pittman, it's literally Alec Pierce, Isaiah McKenzie, Josh Downs, 2nd round pick might have something, but he's currently listed behind McKenzie on the depth chart.
Amari Rodgers,
Jelani Woods, Amari Rodgers. I was a believer. That man stinks though. So it's Pittman or bust here, especially if Jonathan Taylor ends up getting shipped off somewhere. So Pittman all day. That's the only reason I like him where I'm taking him. It's just the volume is going to be there. I don't think it's going to be as high because Richardson is not going to be slinging it. I think they're going to try to get him like probably 10 to 15 carries a game because that's what he's best at. That's his bread and butter. But when he does pass, I think he has a good arm and he can get it to Pittman. He's just going to be force-fed 10 to 12 targets a game. All right, Mike Evans, last one where we have major differences. He's currently going wide receiver 30, 75th overall. T-God's supposed to be here to defend his love for Mike Evans all the way up at 22. Matt, you got him at 25. I got him at 28, right above ADP. Q, you're right below, and this is your man's. So I want to start with you. You have him at 32 below ADP. Why do you not love him?
I convinced myself maybe like last week, so I didn't update this. But when have we not seen this guy get 1,000 yards? I do like him more than Chris Godwin. I think I have him over Chris Godwin. But I've always liked him over Chris Godwin.
Below Mike Evans at 32. That's crazy.
I've always loved him more than Chris Godwin. As long as he continues to score touchdowns, and in PPR, he's extremely valuable. So Just pretend I didn't put him at 32.
Yeah, Q moved him up because clearly he was defending this man.
Right.
Not
I guess
22 though, like T got stuff.
I guess I'll hate a little bit. Like, yes, wide receiver, like 1,000 yards every year, consistency. He has been banged up. He is getting older at this point. If there's any year for him to kind of fall off the consistent 1,000 yard seasons, it's the year after Tom Brady retires, where now he has to deal with Baker Mayfield at QB. Maybe that slows him down a little bit. I still have him above ADP. I'm still taking the risk there, but I think there is a chance that he could fall off a little bit this year for sure. Matt, I assume you're in the same boat with Q as to why you love him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the consistency sticks for me. We've seen him do it with garbage quarterbacks in the past. Obviously, Baker's a downgrade from
Winston.
Tom Brady. I wish they would bring Winston back.
Just let
I
him
would
throw it
be
up.
all in on Mike Evans this year. But I think, like Sean said, based off of volume and just a target share, aside from Chris Godwin, there's no real competition. I think both receivers are going to have decent years, just maybe a little regression based off the QB change.
I like it. I like it a lot. I want to shout out Bam for the Prime sub. Appreciate that.
Let's go,
For
Bam.
some reason, it doesn't come up on the StreamYard, but I did see it in the Twitch chat. So
Bam,
appreciate
thank
you.
man.
So that transitions us directly into our wide receiver 2 targets, flex targets, and our late round wide receiver targets. These are our favorite at each spot. Q, you can start us off. Who is your favorite wide receiver 2 target this season?
My favorite wide receiver 2 target is Amari Cooper. Finished wide receiver 10 last year. We saw him score a touchdown on Saturday with D-Watt, so the connection is real. You're getting him for an absolute steal, I'd say, because wide receiver 1 being drafted as wide receiver 2. We just talked about, I think it was before the pod, or maybe even during, I forget. We would be happy with him as our wide receiver 1 if he went 2 running backs first. So I think he's due for another great year, and they also don't have another wide receiver outside of Njoku to throw to, so he should. Yeah, he's irrelevant. He stinks.
He could be all right.
He'll be all right. He'll
He's
be
gonna
like
be Donovan
DPJ.
Peoples-Jones. Yeah. But Coop,
He was good
get him
last
for
year.
a steal.
Yeah, I do like Coop. He was solid last year. Moving on to you, Matt, wide receiver 2. Who is your favorite target in that area?
I'm going to go with the forgotten one, DK Metcalf. I think last year Lockett stole a lot of his shine. Lockett had 10 TDs compared to DK's 6. And the 2 years prior, DK had double-digit touchdowns. I know that was with Russ, but, I mean, you have DK Metcalf. You're going to throw it to him in the red zone. I see him getting back up to that double-digit touchdown mark. And I do see Tyler Lockett kind of falling off a bit, not too much. JSN hurt the first – I think he may be out the first 4 weeks I saw today.
Now, he avoided the pup, so there is a chance he's back before first 4 weeks.
Yeah, they said he's going to be on the active roster for week 1.
Yeah, he'll be active. So he's not going to probably play week 1, but he could be back week 2 or 3.
Well, even still, I think DK is the number 1 go-to guy on this offense. And Geno seemed to be comfortable airing it out last year, so I don't see that changing, and I see that being favorable for DK Metcalf, who had a down year last year and still finished wide receiver 16.
Yeah. DK is solid. Can't believe Lockett beat him last year. I don't know. He just got outperformed by Lockett last year. Like, why should I love him?
You'll see.
I'm all in on JSN, baby. Get healthy.
You just love rookies.
I do. Dynasty's changed me. Start buying into too much hype. My wide receiver 2 target, not a rookie, DJ Moore. I talked about him enough for you guys to know, but again, target share is going to be there. He's going to be the top option here. We've seen him flashing in preseason a ton, getting a ton of targets. I think the volume is going to continue. I think Justin Fields is going to take a step up this year as a passer as well. So DJ Moore is a wide receiver 2 target where he's being drafted. I love it. I think he can finish towards the higher end of wide receiver 2 this year. Take him at his ADP for sure. If not, a little bit higher. Q, back to you. Favorite flex target at wide receiver?
We've talked about him to death at this
Talked about this whole offense to death.
Tyler Lockett, locked in as a top 20 wide receiver. There's not much else to say. Fuck the downfall. Maybe it'll come next year. It's probably coming. But as of right now, he's a pretty good flex spot.
Yeah. Believe in Geno, baby. Geno.
I don't really believe in him, but he failed me when I
just
needed
believe
the
in the
playoffs.
receivers.
Yeah.
They'll carry him to greatness. All right, Matt, who is your favorite flex target?
Favorite flex, my guy, Brandon Ayuk. I know last year we had an up and down year with Ayuk, but he still managed to finish wide receiver 15.
Insane.
I know Debo missed some time, but even with him being healthy, I would not be surprised if Brandon Ayuk had a better season than Debo Samuel.
Debo stinks.
I'm not as big on Debo this year as maybe a couple years prior, but I think Ayuk is a steady part of this offense. I see him just continuing to improve off of last season. He only seems to get better. So I like Ayuk a lot. Purdy seems to like him as well, and him being the starter kind of helps his case as well.
Yeah. Ayuk is definitely a solid flex target. I did snipe Matt in our Beat the Bros draft. Sorry, man. I couldn't triple dip on Pittman and my whole dynasty team. I had to switch it up. Moving on to my favorite flex target, Marquise Hollywood Brown.
Ugh.
Look, I know the only reason I really like him this year is like the unsexy pick. He's going in the same range of draft right now at his ADP as Jahan Dotson, Jordan Addison, Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I wonder why.
After George Pickens, like Hollywood is better than all of those guys. Hollywood, he's not like insane, but when he has been healthy on the Cardinals, he has put up solid numbers. I know the QB situation is not great, but Kyler should be back in the midway point of the season. And even without Kyler early on, there's no one else to throw to aside from Rondale Moore. Tight ends might get a little bit of volume, but Hollywood is going to be the focal point on this offense that's going to be down probably 40-0 in every single freaking game. Hollywood's going to get force-fed targets. D-Hop is not there anymore. Hollywood's the wide receiver 1. I'm taking him at ADP of 34, 35 wide receiver, whatever it is, all day, every day as my flex for sure. I think you can get him as your wide receiver 4 and feel very comfortable with him. Before we get into our later round wide receiver targets, quick question in the chat. Is Travis Kelce, Rashad White, and Mike Evans
Look at his picture.
For Josh Jacobs, Higgins, and Pat Fryermuth a good trade for 10-team PPR?
Depends which side you're getting, because I like the Josh Jacobs, Higgins, and Pat Fryermuth side. I think by a good bit.
I don't know. Kelsey's a pretty big piece in that trade.
I know, but
Fryermuth.
You're still getting like a possibly top 5 running back, possible top 10, at least top 15 wide receiver, and probably a top 10 tight end.
Well, I think I'm on the other side. I still like Kelce, Rashad White. I would assume whoever has Kelce has other options on their team that are better than Rashad White and Mike Evans. I would assume you have a better running back and wide receiver already. So I don't think you're going to upgrade too much there. Whereas like Kelsey's like a major difference maker there with Fryermuth. I don't love this year. I have him at like 13. I'm not in on Fryermuth. That's a huge downgrade at that position for where you drafted Kelce to give him up for some dude's 2nd and 3rd round pick for your 1st round pick. I don't love it. I don't know. Can't buy it.
I'll take the Kelce side.
Oh, okay. Well, at the end of the day, we're split here, which means it's relatively fair. So go with your gut is what I always say. But I also like always making sure that I'm getting the best player in the trade, and Kelce is the best player in that trade. Or at least trying to.
Fair enough.
Oh, right. Late round wide receiver targets. Q, you can start us off. I don't know how late this man is going, but we'll count it.
Sorry. I can give you quick. Late round target.
Hit me with it. OBJ?
Yeah, OBJ. The number one wide receiver on the Ravens offense. He's going to be the healthiest one, definitely. So they brought in the offensive coordinator who loves to throw the ball. That's why I hate J.K. Dobbins. They're going to be throwing the ball. Lamar's not going to run the ball anymore. Odell Beckham Jr., top 25 finish, getting him where? Like wide receiver 50? I don't know. Where are you getting him? What's his ADP?
ADP?
Odell.
Oh, yeah. Give me a sec. Sorry. I was like so confused with what
ADP,
you were saying. He's currently being
61.
drafted. Holy crap. He fell that far. No way.
And he's finished
Maybe I'm looking at standard.
25.
Yeah, you might be on standard. I couldn't find him. Oh yeah, he's at 40 right now. So he's actually creeped up.
Wait, these are
bit.
my rankings.
ADP is 40, 98th overall. So Matt hates.
Oh,
OBJ.
I also like Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton as well. Good
Okay.
late round target.
Going back to back in ADP. I don't hate it. I think OBJ has some value there if he floats late, but I will talk about that offense in a minute while Matt talks about his favorite late round target at wide receiver. Tyler plays. We will get to your question after we get through our late round targets here.
I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers +1, Alan Lazard. I mean, obviously they already have the connection from Green Bay. I feel like that helps Lazard's case a lot. As much as we like Garrett Wilson this year, not every single target can go to him. I'm not too concerned about any receivers past Alan Lazard or the tight ends for that matter. And we've saw I believe he just had a touchdown in the last preseason game. So the connection's still there. Rodgers needs a second go-to guy, and Lazard's going to be that. So I feel like he could carve out a decent role on this offense.
Yeah, I think he can be a solid late round target for sure. He has some flex upside. My late round target, the other wide receiver on the Ravens, Zay Flowers. I am excited for the rookie this year. I don't love OBJ. I'm hopeful that we can see some vintage OBJ, but I'm not a full believer that he's going to be fully back, ready to go, and also be able to stay on the field after, how old is OBJ at this point? 30. He's got some mileage on him. He's got a little bit of mileage.
Stop showing ages, because then you won't be able to.
I can write anybody off as soon as they hit age 30, baby. I write them off.
I can't wait until DJ Moore hits 30.
I'll cry.
Can't wait until you turn 30, Sean.
Look, man.
I'm writing Sean off.
Don't write me off.
You want to replace him.
Getting kicked off the podcast. Although you get turning 30 before me. Look, everybody comes to age 30. My boy Jarvis Landry had to accept it this year. Like, it happens. Zay Flowers, 22, looked very good in preseason. Obviously, it's early. I'm not fully buying in just because of preseason. He was also very good in college. They invested draft stock in him, and Lamar wanted weapons. They went out and got him weapons. Zay Flowers, I'm not a huge fan of Rashad Bateman. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. And then OBJ, obviously, I love the talent. I want to see him stay healthy. I want to see him play well. But I think Zay Flowers is going to be a consistent option for Lamar over the middle. So give me Zay Flowers late in drafts. He's going around the same as OBJ. I like the upside more there.
I like it.
Couple questions in the chat. Let's start with Tyler Plays. Non-PPR 12-man league. Start 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, 6-point passing touchdowns. Traded Devontae Smith and Ramondre for Jonathan Taylor and Mike Williams.
That was nasty.
That's spicy.
Like
it's non-PPR, so I do like Mike Williams more in non-PPR than Smitty. He is definitely more of like the deep threat yardage guy. Maybe not more than Smitty, but more.
And you like JT more than Ramondre?
Yes, as well in non-PPR, I like that more because JT's a big running back. Ramondre's big pass catcher. Hurts his stock a little bit too, but I still think this is I would have preferred Smitty and Ramondre just a little bit. I don't think it's that bad of a trade in non-PPR though. Although I don't think any of us have played in non-PPR league in like 3 years. Anyone doing a league? Feel free to add our man's Donovan St. Louis. Looking for a league. Just Pete Matt's background. That's his house, man. What do you mean?
Moved Strawberry Hills.
Strawberry Hills.
Just making up neighborhoods. Donovan said we almost 30. It's scary. I'm not writing us off though. We still here.
Gator.
Sean,
Gator
you wrote yourself off already.
And Gator said howdy.
He wasn't here at the beginning to say Super Peach Bros or another Mario character.
Super Donkey Kong.
All right, let's move on to our bold takes. Q, what is your bold take for wide receiver?
I forget what episode I said this, but it was early, like when we just started back up for this season. CeeDee Lamb finishes wide receiver 1. And that may be hurt now if Trey Lance ends up playing at some point in the season. But
I doubt it.
We saw last year he was getting so many targets, so many yards. He was basically the only one touching the ball outside of the running back. So I think he's due for another big season. And he gets to play the NFC East defenses, including the Eagles, because he cooked us last year. So he's bound for a great season.
Q. Fucking dirtbag.
Big Blue.
Fucking fan of Big Blue and the Star now.
I hate Q.
Q's a scumbag, not a real Birds fan.
I don't want to share a fantasy team with you ever
You
again.
have to share two.
Nah, I do like CD this year, though. I can't lie. He is going to be solid. Slay Island's locking him up, though.
Oh, real.
Matt. Yeah. Matt, to you, wide receiver, bold take. I like this one. It's spicy.
Calvin Ridley, top 5. Welcome back to the NFL, my man.
Top
I'm excited to see him. Yep. We saw Christian Kirk have a great year last year, finished like wide receiver 13 or something. Calvin Ridley, obviously more talented than
Is he?
Yeah, he is, because in the past we've seen him finish inside the top 5, and I think he could get back to that again. I feel like Doug Peterson made this offense a lot more pass happy. They don't really have a true runner, depending on how much they want to use Tank Bigsby, but I feel like this offense is going to be throwing the ball a lot. And Evan Ingram, as I said earlier, don't see as much of a threat for target share. So I think Ridley could have a great year this year. He's going to get fed. People are going to want to see him get the ball, and he will finish top 5. Maybe. It's a bold take.
Maybe. Why does Sleeper have Calvin Ridley's ranking for 2022 as if he played any time? He was 908th among wide receivers, apparently. 5,562nd overall. It's
pretty good. Only room to go up.
Nah, I like that, though. He was a top 5 wide receiver when he left, so we'll see if he can get back there. Yep. My bold take, going to the Commanders. This one's a little bit spicy. I have Jahan Dotson finishing higher than Terry McLaurin. I don't know how much I can fully buy in, but I really do like Jahan Dotson as a player. I like his route running. It's crisp. It's clean. Terry McLaurin's going to see all of the number 1 corners. Dotson, second year in the NFL now, a little bit of food in his tummy, I guess you could say. A little bit of experience under his belt. I think he's ready to take the next. I just made that up. It actually kind of works, though. It kind of makes sense.
Kind of, but I don't want to hear that again.
Gets a little appetizer.
Yeah, but I'm just a big believer in Jahan Dotson's talent. Terry McLaurin already heading into the season a little bit banged up. Sam Howell could see him already having a little bit more of a connection with Dotson, also being on the team last year as like a rookie playing on the second team and whatnot. Dotson obviously played it probably a little bit more early in preseason and second team and whatnot with Sam Howell than Terry did. And I just like Dotson this year. I think he can put up some numbers. That is it for tight ends, wide receivers, all of our ranks there. So we have completed every position. Quarterbacks and running backs already on our YouTube and Spotify or wherever else you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Wide receivers, tight ends, those will be up after this. Quick question in the chat before we get to some trivia with Q. Can you rate this team? 10-team PPR. Herbert, Chubb, Jacobs, Smitty, Higgins, Freiermuth, and Ramondre. Okay, so he was getting Kelsey, so I do kind of like it. Especially looking at your team now, we're like, that's not that bad. That's a very solid team. Out of 10, what do you guys think?
I'll say 8, just because Pat Freiermuth is like the thing.
He's the only downside. I think it's like an 8. But outside of that, though, it's like everything there is so solid. Ramondre at flex, the PPR is dirty,
and that's what you sacrifice getting the Pat Freiermuth to get that skill position like depth.
Yeah. And I think
if he would have drafted Kelsey, he would have sacrificed maybe T or Smitty or Ramondre at flex for.
Yeah, he probably would have got Chubb for sure.
Yeah,
which would have hurt. And then you downgrade a little bit down the line, but I like that. I like that team a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly wouldn't feel like you have to make a move yet. It's super early. I would kind of stay put.
Yep.
That team has championship potential. All right. Q, trivia. I think we are playing some Wavelength today.
Wavelength. A makeshift version of Wavelength. If you can space this out, like when I put shit on the screen, just because I'm going to put stuff on the screen. All right, there we go. It's kind of a makeshift version of Wavelength because I know the numbers. Basically, I'm going to give you a category with a picture that relates to the category. You guess the number for each of the 3 rounds, and then at the end, I'll tell you that you guys tell me the number you believe it is. It's between 1 and 10. So I've seen between 1 and 100, and that's pretty insane.
That's insane.
So we'll do 1 to 10. Hopefully, we're all on the same wavelength. You guys are playing against each other, I guess. So
yeah, I'm saying in the private chat, just in case. Feel free to play along in the chat. Throw out your guesses for the number for the wavelength here.
All right, so we will begin here. The first category is NFL fan bases, and the fan base is the Tennessee Titans.
Titans.
So that is the fan base. Okay. We can move on to the next category, which is.
So wait, do we have to have a number for each of these categories?
No. You just kind of want to take the three ideas and come up with one number.
One number that defines all three. So like whatever you're at right now should be like a number 1 through 10, and then this next one might move it up or down a little bit.
Yeah. So the number or the second category is NFL jerseys, and we have the Acme Packers jerseys.
Okay.
Would it be easier if I gave you like one or two off of the number that you guys picked?
No.
No. Okay.
We're just gonna roll with it.
Okay.
That definitely dropped me down.
Drop me down.
And number 3, we have Sean's ability to not be biased towards the players he loves.
Hey, yo.
Oh shit! I got my number in mind.
All right. My ability, dude, that dropped it way down. Holy shit. All right. I have my number.
All right. You guys, should I tell you the number or do you guys want to tell me?
Well, yeah, we have to give out our guesses.
3.
Yeah.
3,
all right, Matt.
2, 1.
2.
It was 2. That's crazy.
I started at 7 for the Titans. I thought
I started at 6.
Decent.
I was like, they're loyal. Maybe
no, but it's like the Titans fan base is like boring. So
yeah, they are definitely boring. Tighten up.
I thought this would drop one of you down to 1.
It almost did. I was between 1 and 2, but I stuck with 2.
All right, let me upload
because the bias, dude. I dropped from like the jersey. I went from like 7 to like 5, and I was like maybe 3. Like maybe the jersey's that bad.
No, the jersey dropped me down to 2, and this solidified
threw me down. Yeah. Yeah, T-God's the longest pot ever. We're just gonna trivia, but we did do wide receivers and tight ends in just about an hour, so I call that a dub.
I will too.
I don't know where the other picture is.
Come on, Q.
All right, we'll just start. I'll upload it as we play.
Yeah, get me off the screen, dude.
Sorry. All right. So the first
5 minutes.
The first category is draft position. So drafting from the 6th spot in a 12-team draft.
Okay.
I'm getting this picture up. All right. What the hell? It's not coming up. All right, I'll just say it. The second picture is supposed to be maybe it'll come now. I like the visuals, but it's not showing up. So the second picture is having Tony Pollard as your running back 1.
Okay.
This is all over the place.
And the third picture, is being down 30 on going into Sunday Night Football with your quarterback and tight end left.
Okay,
that's a little better. That's definitely a little better.
All right, I have a number in my head.
All right, yeah. Yo, get it off.
All right, you got 3, 2, 1,
6.
5.
It was 7.
Oh. Yeah, that was tough. I think that last one pushed me up because I was almost at I was sitting at like 5 or 4 with Tony Pollard's your RB1. I'm not like I love to.
I thought 5 was just like a mid. Everything there was just like.
Yeah, I thought it was mid. That's why I went a little bit above for that last one because I was like, yeah, quarterback and tight end. Q, I think you're higher than Pollard. Higher than all of us on Pollard actually. So I think that makes a difference too.
Yeah. Well,
actually, no, I don't think you are. Let me check.
I have Pollard.
Where do you have Pollard at, Q?
I believe I have him at like 9 or something.
Oh, maybe you're the lowest then.
I have Pollard at 9.
Yeah, you guys are the lowest. I'm higher on Pollard. I have him at 7. And I still didn't believe in the 7.
But that
I think the 6 was throwing me off. I don't like picking for 6.
That was it for me. I mean, we did. You guys did well. You got 1 of 2, so I can try this again on Thursday.
It was fun.
Or tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Hate this view. Or like on NFL Live.
All right, ESPN. Here we are. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's a wrap for the episode this week. That is the trivia. I don't know how to get this back to normal. Just me again. All right, here we go.
Picture up.
No, get the picture out of here. Delete that. Yo, I don't do my hair like that. Just so everyone knows. That was a one-time.
That's why you're always wearing.
That was a picture. That's my hair during the wedding.
My wife exposed me. That is a. I just said my wife. Feels so weird.
I know,
that was weird.
That is a wrap for all of our positional rankings. We've tweaked them here and there. So check our website for a full list of our rankings broken down by position. If you think Matt is the best of all of us, his rankings are there. Q's are there. Mine are there. We don't have a consensus, so you got to pick your favorite. Pick who you like the best.
Make your own.
We've broken down pretty much every team, every position with our rankings, thoughts, bold takes. So we appreciate you guys hanging out over the past few months. Coming up, we have 2 of our favorite episodes. Tomorrow, we will be back. 2nd annual NFL record predictions. And then next week, we will be doing our preseason award show, giving the spiciest takes possible, going through, handing out awards at each position. If you haven't been there before, make sure you are there next week. Stay tuned for all the upcoming content. We'll also get our rankings posted on Instagram as well, just for a clean look. If you guys are looking for that, make sure you're following us there and on Twitter. Also, take advantage of our sponsors. Helps us out a ton. Super FB for Underdog Fantasy, as I mentioned earlier. And take advantage of discounted sports gear at Fanatics. They're probably running a sale every single week. If you use the link in our bio, helps us out a ton. Get your favorite player's jersey before the season starts. Also, finally, make sure you follow the Old City Sports Network. Ton of other great podcasts, ton of sponsors we have over there. I think we have like some cannabis sponsors now too. We have some good stuff over there. Beard sponsors, get your beard groomed, check it out, and also some good podcasts. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.